For 40 years, Martinsville Speedway has been the backyard to this otherwise peaceful neighborhood. But a race weekend can really cause quite a stir up and down this small street.
You know, Kim, when I was coming in today, I saw Dale Earnhardt, and he looked so serious. I think he's going to win that championship.
Yeah, but what about that Mark Martin, Faye? Boy, that guy's in good shape.
You got that right, Patsy.
All that muscle, I think he's really looking for something he hasn't tasted before, and that's that championship.
What about that northern boy, Jeff Badine? Oh, Kim.
Well, he could sneak up on both of them.
Well, Kim, did you see what happened in Dover last week? That could really put him back.
Well, what about Junior Johnson? He's got something up his sleeve. He really likes those short tracks.
Hello, Kim's cutting curl. Uh-huh.
It's Teresa Earnhardt. Uh-huh. Okay, we'll see you then. She's coming for a washing set before the race.
That girl knows she's going to victory lane.
Well, ladies, there's only one way to see who's going to get closer to winning this championship. Let's go to the race and see how they do.
It's just a short 200-yard walk down the street to your seat. There you can enjoy a wonderful day in this historic neighborhood as over 40,000 race fans from all over the country come to witness what will kick off the home stretch of this turbulent 1990 Winston Cup Championship. Welcome to Martinsville. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, it's the Goody's 500. Martinsville Speedway sits in a residential area, but today 40,000 people are in Clay Earl's backyard for today's event. A beautiful day here, certainly different from last year when Hurricane Hugo tore through this area, doing millions of dollars in property damage. This year, the Hurricane is on the racetrack, a torrid points battle in Winston Cup competition. Going into this race, Mark Martin has a 21-point advantage on Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Bodine, Bill Elliott, and Rusty Wallace round out the top 5 in Winston Cup points. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Martinsville, Virginia, and the Goody's 500 as we enter the home stretch of the 1990 campaign. Last week at Dover, Mark Martin showed us that he wasn't backing off for anyone. He is going for the 1990 championship. He raced wheel to wheel with Dale Earnhardt for several laps before he finished in second position and now takes the 21-point edge to this race here today. Now let's compare the records of these two drivers here at Martinsville. Dale Earnhardt has 4 wins and 8 top 5 finishes. Mark Martin, no wins here, only 1 top 5, and he has never finished on the lead lap. However, a lot of hard work has paid off for Mark. For more on that story, let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, Bob, if there were a Mr. Consistency Award for 1990, it would go to Mark Martin. 20 times he has finished on the lead lap. Yet, coming to this racetrack, he has never finished in the lead lap. But I know you guys worked so hard testing here, Mark, to try to change that.
Well, we really have, and you got to remember, too, we haven't raced here that many times.
And you came up here and tested for 3 days in a row and ran a whole lot of laps, and obviously from sitting on the pole here, it paid off.
Well, we're real confident right now that we're going to have a good race here, and we feel real good about it. But, you know, there's no guarantees in this business, and we're just going to have to go out here and do, you know, what we do best and see how it turns out. There's a lot of things that could affect your finish other than handling, you know. These races are long races, and so far we've had our share of good luck, and maybe we can keep it going.
Maybe that luck will change today at Martinsville. After all, when you name a track after a driver, Mark Martinsville, well, maybe it'll happen for him today. Let's check in where John Kernan is standing by with Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Dale Earnhardt is just about ready to climb into his office for 500 laps of heavy-duty work this afternoon. And, Dale, I know there's no secret. You're going to try and get up front as quickly as possible, lead as many laps as you can, win the race. But do you have to be patient here?
Well, you do. This is a tough place to do that. You know, you got to worry about your brakes and traffic. It's a tight racetrack. The groove won't be but about 2 cars wide down in the corner, so you got to really work the traffic good. So Mark's up on the pole. He's going to get him 5 points right off, it looks like. So we're going to have to work our way up there and try to get 5-2 on the leading laps and just race it from there. If we can lead, we're going to try to lead some. Rusty's running real good, and he's not worried about points. He can go for broke and try to win. So it's going to be a tough race to go up and be dominant in.
But be dominant could be a thing that he could do here. Dale has won 4 races here, but there has been some surprises already this weekend. How about it, Benny Parsons?
John, Mark Martin shocked the racing world. He was not supposed to do well at Martinsville. This was his Achilles. He had never finished on the lead lap, but he comes up here and sits on the pole. I figured when he left here, it'd be 25, 30 points worse off than he is. But Ned's starting on the pole. He's running well. He might even gain or stay even with Earnhardt.
Well, he could do it. Certainly sitting on the pole is a psychological advantage, but there's a lot of bullets that he'll have to dodge here this afternoon besides Dale Earnhardt. This track is very tough on the rear gearing of the race cars as well as the brakes, so he's going to have to take care of those 2 things on his race car. But the biggest problem he might have is dodging the other cars. The close quarters here at Martinsville, you can get a fender in against the tire real easy and cause unscheduled pit stops. Now, there's one fellow who has done extremely well here at Martinsville over the years. In fact, he has won 3 of the Goody's 500s in a row, and that's Darrell Waltrip, and he's with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Ned, if there were an award for the biggest smile here on the starting grid, it would go to this guy, DW, who's won 4 times the last 6 starts. Darrell, your kind of racetrack.
Well, it is, and I'm excited about today. You know, Richmond and Dover were kind of getting me in shape to run here today, and I think we got off a good chance. I got a good car. Hey, I qualified 11th. That's a big improvement over what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. So if we just take our time, be patient, like always, and just let the race come to us like we know how to do, we'll win this thing.
And he's a prophet, too. Remember, last time in the short tracks, he started 27th at Richmond and finished 3rd, and he's in a great mood today. Gentlemen.
And Darrell's last win was a year ago today here at Martinsville. He's trying to keep alive a 15-year winning streak. Stand by for Winston Cup racing from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. Our Speed World coverage being brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. By Purolator, the world's largest filter company. And by Goodyear Eagle Radials, the best-selling performance radials in the world. We'll take a look at the racetrack and the 31-car starting lineup for today's Goody's 500 right after this. NASCAR Winston Cup racing today from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, the Goody's 500. And let's take a look now at the starting lineup. On the pole, his 3rd pole of the year, Mark Martin, the current points leader in Winston Cup in the Folgers Coffee Ford. Outside of row number 1, Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri. He drives the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, car number 27. The 2nd row, Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, the Skull Bandit Oldsmobile number 33. And outside 2nd row, Ken Schrader from Fenton, Missouri in the Kodiak Chevrolet, car number 25. Kyle Petty will start in 5th position. And alongside him will be Dale Jarrett from Conover, North Carolina, the Citgo Petroleum Ford number 21. 7th starting spot goes to Michael Waltrip, and 8th to Dale Earnhardt. Starting back in the 5th row, it's Ernie Urban and Bill Elliott. And as you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, we'll tell you that the separation from fastest to slowest is 0.739 seconds. That represents 3.159 miles an hour. 8 Ford starting in the lineup, 7 Pontiac, 7 Chevys, 6 Oldsmobiles, 3 Buicks. 31 cars are in the lineup today, and Derek Pope from Spanaway, Washington will start in the 31st position, taking his first provisional of the year. One more time around, and we should get the green flag for 500 laps of competition here on this 0.526 mile oval. Now, Jerry Punch, it looked like that Kyle Petty had a problem on the grid. What was the problem?
Well, a minute ago when they fired the car up, Kyle had no fuel pressure in the car. They have a light that lets them know when the fuel pressure is beginning to fluctuate. They raised the rear deck lid and didn't see any leak back there. They also looked around the fuel filter, but Gary Nelson and the crew are a little bit concerned. They know the car is running right now, so they must have fuel pressure, but there may be a loose line or loose fitting around the fuel filter.
All right, so Kyle Petty is in line now. They're going to take one more lap before they get the green flag. We have in-car cameras today riding with Dick Trickle in the Phillips 66 in-car camera. Ernie Irvin will also carry one of our cameras in the Kodak Chevrolet. And Alan Kulwicki also has one, the bumper cam on Alan's number 7 Xerox Ford. One more lap to green.
Sounds like Kyle Petty's problem could have been a malfunctioning light. The bulb came on and indicated they were out of fuel, but obviously the car is running. And we know it's full of fuel. You know, they would not. They have to weigh the car before the race starts. The car has to weigh 3,500 pounds, and to do that, it has to be full of fuel.
Well, we've had 6 short track races so far in 1990, and we have had 6 different winners. Will there be another short track winner today? Mark Martin is certainly hoping that he will pull off another short track victory here this afternoon. His worst finish on the short tracks in 1990 has come right here at Martinsville in the spring race.
It's imperative he beat Rusty Wallace down in turn 1 and lead that first lap to get those 5 bonus points.
The advantage is 21 over Dale Earnhardt as we begin this race. A sellout crowd. Here we go. The green flag is out. The Goody's 500 is on.
And Rusty got the jump.
Everybody is through lap number 1. Okay. Dale Earnhardt trying to work his way through traffic. He's in 6th position at the moment. Dale Jarrett right behind him, being passed by Ernie Irvan, who goes to the inside and picks up a position. Now here's Kyle Petty and Harry Gant banking wheels as they come out of the 4th turn. The battle for 3rd spot. Harry Gant has it. Kyle Petty drops to 4th. Ken Schrader 5th.
That's something we're going to be seeing all day. Cars trying to get inside other cars and making contact. The car on the in front, getting a little bit sideways.
Ernie Irvan starting the 9th position.
And there's trouble over in turn 2. Richard Petty and Chad Little have spun off turn 2. No caution yet. Both cars are rolling.
Richard Petty rolling just very slowly. Chad Little's number 19 car is away, and now both cars pick up speed as they head down the backstretch and go into turn number 3. Chad Little and Richard Petty spin on lap number 3. Mark Martin may have a brake problem. Is that right, Jerry?
That's what we were being told here in the pits. He radioed in a minute ago, and the Folgers crew behind me began to grab the brake, some of the brake wrenches, and also some of the brake fluid. The brakes are very, very soft in the Folgers Sport. Mark's having to pump them, and they sort of catch and let go. So they're getting ready possibly to bring him in. They would like to have seen a yellow flag here moments ago.
Wow, an important development here in the early going. There you can see Dale Earnhardt taking the position away from Ken Schrader. And now Dale Earnhardt is in 5th. Ernie Irvan has moved to 6th position as we ride with him. He started back in 9th spot. So a good early move by Ernie Irvan. Rusty Wallace continues to lead. Now we see some smoke coming from the number 6 car as it goes into turn number 1 and hits the brakes. Harry Gant running 3rd, then Kyle Petty and Dale Earnhardt.
And Mark Martin definitely has some type of problem because he is just not getting in the corner good at all.
No, he's backing off far before the other drivers are, and it's holding Harry Gant up as he backs off. Look at Earnhardt. He's trying to make his way up to the front, trying to move on the inside of Kyle Petty. He has the Good Ranch Chevrolet on the move. Earnhardt currently running 5th.
He's looking to the outside, to the inside of Kyle Petty off of the 4th corner. Inside the Ernie Irvan car. That's Dale Earnhardt up ahead. We're talking about the brakes. Look at Ernie pump them as he goes into the corner.
He's got his left foot on the brake. That's his right foot on the accelerator. Left foot on the brakes. There he's on the brakes. Now off the brakes. Back on the gas. All the way to the floor. With that left foot always there, ready to put on the brakes. Now he's back on the brakes again. And Mark Martin, they say his brake pedal is a little bit spongy. What he's doing, he's pumping the brakes hard with his left foot. Remember, we saw that at Watkins Glen, Bob, with the in-car cameras. We saw those guys pumping the brakes. That's what Mark Martin's having to do, they tell me.
Martin is hanging on to 2nd position at the moment.
I think that maybe it's improved a little bit for it, fellas. He's gaining on the car number 27 of Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt gaining on Kyle Petty.
And the fans go crazy here on the main straightaway as Dale Earnhardt picks up another position, passing Kyle Petty, and now Dale is in 4th. Early stages of the Goody's 500 from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia. At the moment, Rusty Wallace, your leader. We'll be right back. Back at Martinsville Speedway for the Goodies 500. Bonus points are very important to winning the championship, and look at the difference. Dale Earnhardt has accumulated 130 bonus points and Mark Martin only 70. Those bonus points handed out to leading a lap and leading the most laps. Right now it is Mark Martin who is running second to the leader Rusty Wallace, and Mark has radioed again that the brakes are not improving at all. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Robin Pemberton.
We documented they had a brake problem, and Robin, what do you think it might be?
Our spotter said that looks like the right front caliper is smoking a little bit. It slowed down. It's not smoking as bad as it was. On that style caliper and O-ring, sometimes it'll leak. And the O-rings are so good and they're so massive in there that it'll quit by itself half the time. We'll take a look at it when he comes in. But right now, the brakes are pretty good.
The brakes are coming back a little bit. The O-ring, as it gets some heat inside, will begin to seal itself. And when the brakes had gone away initially, they can begin to come back little by little. But they'd like to have a chance to check it, possibly under a yellow flag. Bob?
Well, he's holding off Harry Gant for second position, despite the fact that the brakes aren't quite the way he wants them to be. But Mark is hanging in there in second position. And Goodyear will donate $1,000 in the name of our pole sitter, Mark Martin, to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. And now Harry Gant begins to put some heat on the pole sitter, Mark Martin, for that second spot.
Mark is definitely holding up Harry Gant right now. But can you imagine running 470 more? And look, Harry Gant on the inside of Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt is right behind him.
And they touch a little bit. Earnhardt just barely got the right nose of his Chevrolet against Mark Martin's Ford, but he makes the pass.
Mark looks like slowing down considerably, but he runs up on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt. Mark Martin has fallen to fourth spot as Dale Earnhardt now moves to third.
I would say that Mark Martin just decided this is not the correct time to race.
Dale Jarrett, car number 21, and Michael Waltrip, number 30, battling for position. Dale Jarrett had one of the better performances, qualified fifth here for the spring race, and led a considerable distance here at Martinsville a year ago.
Ned talked about at the beginning of the show the psychological advantage that Martin gained by winning the pole position, but he lost most of that psychological advantage when Dale Earnhardt passed him just a moment ago.
Here's Ricky Rudd moving up, pulling alongside Terry Labonte in the third turn. They touch. Labonte gets a little bit sideways but holds on, and Ricky Rudd has the position.
Here's a shot from Dick Trickle's car. He's trying to go by Labonte as well.
There's the side cam that brought us some exciting shots a year ago.
Petty seems to be drifting back into the clutches of this group.
Yeah, Kyle's car seems to be very loose. A number of cars have gone by, and Dale Jarrett just went by. Now Ricky Rudd trying to go by, and you can see some tire marks on the side of Kyle's car. Some have rubbed him as they went by.
Already some significant marks on the side of Kyle's car. He's had contact with more than one. Now Dick Trickle moving by Kyle Petty.
Inside Trickle's car down the front straightaway. And folks, these cars get up to 110 miles an hour right there. Braking hard down to 75 miles per hour right there, Bob. So that tells you just how important the brakes are.
Here's Terry Labonte going by the car number 42 of Kyle Petty, and here's Darrell Waltrip, the three-time in a row winner of the Goodies 500, making a pass as well.
This one will last 4 out of 6 events here at Martinsville, and he would love very much to keep that 15. Oh, and here's Ken Schrader going to the inside and passing Mark Martin. Schrader moves to fourth, and Mark Martin back to fifth. Remember, Mark has not led a lap. Rusty Wallace jumped in front as the green flag dropped. We were ready to tell you that the advantage had moved from 21 to 26 points, and that would have been the situation had he led that first lap, but he didn't. Moving back in the pack now to check on some battles going on. There is Bill Elliott, last week's winner, along with Sterling Marlin, Kyle Petty, and Morgan Shepherd.
And Kyle Petty is still having his problems. He's caught on the outside, and the freight train goes by down on the inside. Kyle's car just not handling too well right now. The Pete Canterbury's Pontiac. Alan Kowicki goes by.
Elliott running in 9th position. Marlin is 10th. Shepherd is 11th, and Kowicki is 12th. The bumper cam on Alan Kowicki's
off the corner, Alan Kowicki was able to pull away. Like Kyle just not able to get on the throttle back in the corner. The sign that the chassis was a little bit too loose or pushing. Look, we saw the car wiggle badly off turn 4, so that means the car's a little bit too loose.
Yeah, I think it is, Benny. Just not getting traction off the turns. Now Davey Allison goes by. Here comes Brett Bodine down on the inside. So Kyle really drifted back. Here's Morgan Shepherd trying to make a pass on the car number 94 of Sterling Marlin, but can't quite do it. Alan Kowicki started pretty far back in the field. In fact, he started in 19th position. He blew an engine in practice and had to rush to get an engine put in the car so he could qualify, and the track was very slick. The car had blown an engine right in the front of him qualifying, and there
Kowicki hits the wall.
Yes, he does.
Came out of the second corner too high and bumped the wall, put a big black mark on the wall. May not have damaged his car very much. Boy, he hit the wall pretty good.
And a spin. Rick Mast has spun down in turn 1. The Banquet Frozen Foods Chevrolet up against the wall, and the first caution of the afternoon is out.
This is Rick's first drive in this car. This is the one that's been driven all year by Butch Miller, but Rick Mast has replaced Butch Miller as the driver of this car for the rest of the season. He's against the wall, bringing out our first caution period of the Goodies 500. Back at Martinsville, a lot of pit stops being made here on the 39th lap. We are under our first caution of the day. Mark Martin's in the pit, so is Dale Earnhardt, and all of those were running in the top 15 or so.
A lot of smoke in Mark Martin's coming out from under his car as he's sitting there in the pits. They talked about a problem up in the right front. There was some smoke up there.
Here comes Earnhardt out. Harry Gant pulls out just ahead of him. There's Mark Martin. He's down off the jack and rolls away. Here comes Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott, Ernie Irvin, and the others. And there's activity now on the back pits. There's Hut Strickland, Rick Wilson, and others getting service on their cars. Alan Kowicki moves out. Alan Kowicki bumped the wall coming out of the second corner a few laps ago.
We see him just come up and just drive right in the wall. He just really got too high coming up off the corner and couldn't bring the car back down and ran into it. Here it is from the end car. Watch this, folks. Didn't hardly crack the throttle.
Yeah, well, I tell you, he was fortunate. If it didn't bend a little bit of the steering, knock the toe end out, then he was fortunate it didn't do that.
There's Rick Mast bringing out the first caution of the day as he slammed against the wall between the first and second corners. The car is still down there in that area with the hook behind it. So we are under caution for the first time in this 500 lap race here at Martinsville. Rick Mast crashing down in corner number 1. Reminder about our 900 number that we invite you to dial any day of the week, not necessarily just on race days, but you can get the latest information on what's going on in Winston Cup competition by dialing 1-900-SPORTS-1 and then punching in the number of those drivers and hearing them talk about the race and anything that's going on in their particular world. 1-900-SPORTS-1. We'll be back with more of our coverage of the Goodies 500 from Martinsville, Virginia Speedway in just a moment.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Purolator, the world's largest filter company. A trip to Martinsville Speedway means wildlife both off and on the racetrack. Our side cam showed how close the action is on NASCAR's tightest track. 2 new stars emerged last year as Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett ran up front for much of the day. The Winston Cup points leaders, Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace, had a battle of their own. But it was Darrell Waltrip who took the low road out of turn 2 to take the lead. There were 8 cautions on the day, Richard Petty among those involved in this turn 1 crash. When Harry Gant tried to squeeze between teammates Bobby Hilton and Dick Trickle, All three went sliding. Gant recovered to close in on Waltrip's lead late in the race, but a caution on the final lap denied Harry the chance to make one last charge. Waltrip won the Goody's 500 for the third year in a row and his 11th career victory at Martinsville. And Darrell hoping also to register a victory here this afternoon. Now let's take a look at our Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on a couple of cars. First of all, Ken Schrader. 12.5 seconds for the driver to get into and out of the pits, and it took the crew 14.1 seconds to change 2 tires, total of 26.6 seconds. Compare that now to Rusty Wallace. 10.3 for the driver, 23.3 for the crew to change 4 tires, and a total of 33.6 seconds. Just about to go back to green, we had an accident involving Rick Mast, who hit the wall down between turns 1 and 2. He was able to walk away from the crash under his own power. Here comes the green flag to restart the race. Now up front, Morgan Shepherd and Dave Marcus. However, they did not pit during this caution period. Green is out.
The yellow car on the inside is Rick Wilson trying to get by Morgan Shepherd, get a lap back. Morgan gets a good run coming off the second corner and takes the lead down the back straightaway.
4 cars are a lap down besides Rick Wilson, Richard Petty, also the number 52 car, and Kowicki would make that. Terry Labonte has spun in turn number 4. Will it bring out a caution? No. Labonte gets rolling again.
He and Alan Kowicki were running together, Bob, going into that turn. Apparently there was some contact, and Terry Labonte got the worst end of the deal. But he still remains in the lead lap, but he's over a half lap behind.
4 cars down a lap at this point is Chad Little. Bumper tag going on there in the 3rd and 4th corners. There's Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, and Mark Martin. Jerry, what do they do during the pit stop on the Martin car?
Well, they checked the brakes vigorously, Bob, and apparently what Robin Pemberton told us about an O-ring leaking was correct. The O-ring apparently has sealed itself. There was no more fluid seen to the right side of the car. They filled it back up. The brakes are okay. They added about 2 rounds of bite in the car to tighten it up a little bit. So now watch for Mark Martin to be able to run a little bit stronger down toward the turn.
All right, Mark Martin holding his own at the moment. Meanwhile, it is Rusty Wallace, Ken Schrader, and Dave Marcus in a battle.
Marcus running second, but Ken Schrader trying to take it away from him. Marcus doing a good job holding on to that position, protecting his territory. He did not make a pit stop. In the Big Apple Market Chevrolet, Martin Shepherd has pulled away from those out front.
Now here's the Kowicki-Labonte incident.
Well, you can see Kowicki was on the inside of Terry Labonte. They touched going into the turn, so the Skoll Classic Oldsmobile of Terry Labonte spins around, so he is out on the racetrack running by himself, still in the lead lap.
Close call for Dale Jarrett, who was right behind Terry Labonte when he spun. Marcus now looking to the inside of Rick Wilson going into turn number 3. Dave Marcus still hobbling around on crutches. He told me on Friday that he hopes to get off of them any day now. The doctor told him between 8 and 12 weeks. He's completed 10 weeks of being on the crutches. He should throw them away before too long.
Well, they've got Rick Wilson in the Dinner Bell Foods Oldsmobile number 75 on the outside, and the train's going to go by him. Richard Petty, and he's a lap down. Look at Dale Earnhardt come in there.
Jeff Bodine is trying to go by Earnhardt on the outside, Ned. On the outside on this real flat half-mile racetrack.
Brandis wanted to catch up to Rick Wilson, and it's not going to work for him, did he?
Yep, Jeff gets caught behind Rick Wilson.
And Jeff Bodine has a great run going. He qualified about 13th, 14th, and is up to about 5th or 6th. Where is he running now? 8th spot.
He qualified 14th for this event. Car looks like it's working well. The Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford. There's Mark Martin right behind him. Ricky Rudd behind Martin. Now here's Ken Schrader trying to get around Dave Marcus. He has the inside line.
Trying to take second position away from Dave. Schrader down the front stretch. At the line, Schrader has a half car length advantage into turn number 1. Dave battling valiantly on the outside, but Schrader gets second position, and here comes Rusty Wallace.
Well, Wallace almost had a nose up beside of him, and they touched a little coming off of 2, and they touch a little bit going into 3, and they touch a little bit again coming off of 4.
And you see Dale Earnhardt has been able to get by Harry again. Jeff Bodine takes a beat down on the inside. Now here goes Earnhardt on the outside of Richard Petty. But that outside line just does not work well at all so far.
Remember, Petty is a lap down, having spun early in the race.
Now Rusty Wallace is going to try it on the outside, see if he can get by Dave Marcus there.
Wallace
deep into the turn.
On the high side in the first and second turns, but Dave Marcus maintains the position for the moment. Now let's see what happens as they race down the backstretch. They're wheel to wheel, side by side. Wallace has a slight advantage. They bump, they touch, they rub sheet metal, and they're still dead even. Now Wallace pulls ahead just slightly and will take the position. So Wallace moves to third. Dale Earnhardt's going to try the same thing.
Well, he drove in there hard on the outside, trying to follow the line of Rusty Wallace. He does get by Richard Petty, now gets up on the outside of Dave Marcus, and Marcus gives him the room that he needs up there to run.
So it's Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, and Dave Marcus. There is the leader, Morgan Shepherd. Let's go to John Kernan, who can tell us about the strategy that Morgan's employing today.
Well, Bob, track position being as important as it is at this racetrack, Morgan started the race 25th, and the caution did come relatively early on as far as fuel and Goodyear radial tires are concerned. He can run about 200 to 250 laps on these tires, and he can go quite a ways without a fuel stop. Now, the odds are that there will be another caution before he has to come in for fuel. So that was the thinking behind them not stopping. They get the lead, and as you can see, he is running just as good as anyone else with those older tires.
Well, the record for the fewest caution flags in a Goody's 500 is in 78. There were 4. The most caution flags that ever flew for a Goody's 500, 17 in 1980. We'll be right back. Back at Martinsville, Virginia, where the number 7 car of Alan Kowicki leads the Goody's 500. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, the Formula One series continues. The Grand Prix of Portugal as Ayrton Senna tries to move a step closer to the world title. That's tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN. Alan Kowicki about to lap the number 1 car of Terry Labonte behind the number 7 car, running in second position. About a half a straightaway behind now is Ken Schrader in car number 25, and then comes Dale Earnhardt running in third position. Now Earnhardt has shown on the last several laps that he wanted to take over that spot, but has decided not to do it right now. Meanwhile, Kowicki still trying to lap Terry Labonte. He started this race in 20th position, then moved up to 18th. He was 13th at the end of 75 laps, and now as we are in lap number 115, he is the leader. Let's go to John Kernan, who's in the Kowicki pit.
Well, Bob, it's a story that perseverance pays off. A couple of weeks ago, Alan Kowicki and crew came to the Martinsville Speedway to do some testing. And they worked all morning with long trailing arms on the rear end of 2-link suspension. They weren't happy with it, so at lunchtime, they disgustedly changed it, decided to pull out a 3-link with the short trailing arms. They tried that, and it didn't work. Alan said, oh, well, I guess I won't get excited right now. We got a lot of hard work to do. So they spent that whole afternoon going back to the long trailing arm rear end. And they apparently have hit upon something after spending several hours, a whole day, here at Martinsville testing, because he is running really well right now.
Well, folks, Alan Kowicki has a serious problem. When he makes a pit stop on a caution flag, if the caution should come out, he's going to have to wait till all the cars on the lead lap go into pits, and then he goes around to the back and goes in the pits. So the 16 cars that are pitted on the front straightaway are going to end up on the racetrack in front of Alan Kowicki.
We've talked all year long about how important it is to pit on the front stretch and what a disadvantage it is to pit on the back stretch, and we will see that should we have another caution period. Meanwhile, second, third, fourth, and fifth here running very close together.
Yes, and they're gaining on Alan Kowicki as he's beginning to catch a lot of traffic back there. It's a little tough for him to pass. We saw how long it took him to pass the Terry Labonte car. Now he's on the outside of Hut Strickland. And you can see that Kenny Schrader and Dale Earnhardt are really gaining on Kulwicki now that he's in that traffic.
Yeah, it was a full straightaway advantage for Kulwicki probably 20, 25 laps ago, and now that has evaporated to just a few car lengths. As we look out the back of the Xerox Ford, carried by Alan Kulwicki.
And we see Ken Schrader. Here's Kulwicki going down the inside of Dale Jarrett. 100 miles an hour, 110 miles an hour. Has to break the car to 75 right there. Now accelerating down the back straightaway, building once again to about 110 miles per hour top speed here in Martinsville.
Of course, Alan wants to make the pass on the inside if he can, and the slower cars are supposed to move to the inside and let them go by on the outside. Now, Jarrett still cut down to the inside. Kyle Petty right in front of him.
Earnhardt was on the outside of the 25 car trying to take that spot away. They're side by side.
Well, looks like the 7 and 25 cars are going to have the inside line. Dale Jarrett goes a lap down. Here comes Ken Schrader right behind, and Dale Earnhardt remains in third position.
Well, Schrader almost, Earnhardt almost got by Schrader on the outside. And that's what Kulwicki's seeing out the rearview mirror, and believe me, he doesn't want to see that.
Let's take a look at those cars that have dropped out of the race. Rick Mast crashed between turns 1 and 2. And the only car behind the wall being worked on, not officially out of the race, Michael Waltrip. Watching Earnhardt get his nose to the inside of Ken Schrader, but Jimmy Means is there to block that inside line. There's the bumper cam on Kulwicki's car as you see how close Schrader comes. Ricky Rudd has moved to 4th position, and Rusty Wallace back to 5th. A spin up at the second turn. Chad Little once again spins.
And the caution flag is out. The caution is out. And Schrader's trying to get the lead, and Richard Petty trying to get back to the start-finish line to save a lap.
Here we go. Let's see who. Oh, Allen got squeezed against the wall, it looked like, and maybe Dale Earnhardt was given the credit for leading that lap.
Boy, that could be a big deal. That could be 5 bonus points that Earnhardt doesn't have yet.
Boy, that was a tight race to the line. Here it is again.
And Kulwicki, I don't know if he lost control or just felt like Richard was going to come up. But here comes Earnhardt. And yes, he does lead that lap.
The 3 car gets 5 bonus points for leading a lap. It was close, but Dale Earnhardt gets the 5 bonus points, reducing that advantage now to 16.
Now watch all these cars go in the pits. Here Earnhardt's going down in the pits. Jerry punches down there.
Dale Earnhardt making a stop under the caution flag. Everyone hitting on the front stretch. The main leaders. Earnhardt is in. Kenny Schrader is in. Dale Jarrett. Here's Kyle Petty. But Earnhardt's crew will change the right side tires. Flip around to the left side of the car. They are just changed right side over. How important the track position is. Schrader is out. Kenny Schrader also getting only 2 tires, and he will beat Earnhardt back on the track in turn 1.
Kulwicki pulls in. They go to work on the right side. It will be a 4-tire change. And also, they're going to take 2.5 rounds to wedge out of the car. Right side, gloves being tightened. They swing the jack around. The left side going up. Tires coming off. And already, the other cars pitting on the front side have already come around. And now Allen is still awaiting the gas there. Now he is away.
And there is what many talked about. All the cars that pitted here on the straightaway got out and came onto the racetrack ahead of Alan Kulwicki, who had to pit on the backstretch. Watch Dale Earnhardt pull out of the pits. Ooh, he
man, oh man.
Jack's man, and
is that the Jack on his or the 27?
I don't know.
They're both in black. They're both wearing black.
In any case, close call.
Well, Earnhardt is pretty far up the tips from where Rusty Wallace is, so that's been his crew.
So, caution number 3 on the racetrack because of a spin involving Chad Little. We'll be right back after this. We're about to go back to green flag conditions as Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick will take the green flag to restart this race on lap number 132. Brett Bodine did not pit during this caution period. That's the reason why he has the lead. Ken Schrader is running second, followed by Dale Earnhardt, then Harry Gant, And the 5th place car is Sterling Marlin.
And Alan Kowicki, who was running 3rd, fighting for the lead when the caution flag came out, by pitting on the back straightaway, he went all the way back to 10th spot.
And Mark Martin, the points leader, is in 9th. That's the first lap that Brett Bodine has led since Michigan. Derek Cope in the number 10 car, second on the racetrack, is also a lap down. Schrader looking to the inside of him down the front stretch and trying to pass Derek Cope.
Michael Waltrip has re-entered the race after work on his Pontiac.
Mark Martin back in 9th position. There he is, right behind Rick Wilson, the lap car, and in front of Alan Kowicki.
This is inside the Kowicki Xerox Ford. Looking right up the rear deck lid of the other Ford driven by Mark Martin.
Kowicki looking inside, moving to the inside line, going into turn 1 and taking the position away from Mark Martin. Alan Kowicki moves to 9th, dropping Mark Martin back to 10th position. Remember, the points gap has been closed to 16 because Dale Earnhardt has led a lap. Let's go to Jerry Punch at Mark's pit.
Well, Mark Martin's gremlins continue here at Martinsville. Remember, they had the brake problem in the very first lap of the race, and the race cuts off. Now we are being told he is on 7 cylinders. He has lost a cylinder, and that folds forward. A tough race for the current point leader.
Wow. Boy, that's not only a tough break, that could be terminal. And look, Earnhardt, Harry Gant is going by Dale Earnhardt.
Trying to go for 3rd position. It's Harry Gant on the inside and going around Dale Earnhardt. So Harry Gant now moves to 3rd. And Terry Labonte is now on the inside.
Terry's a lap down, but he makes the pass on Earnhardt. Well, it looked like he was going to. Now he does make the pass.
So Earnhardt loses a couple of spots here. Let's spin up in turn 2.
Richard Petty.
Richard Petty is involved. Gets it down into the grass.
No caution so far.
Yep, no caution because Petty was able to continue. It's the second spin of this race for Richard Petty, who came into this event as the winningest driver here at Martinsville with 15 wins at this racetrack and 6 here in the Goodies 500. It's still Brett Bodine showing the way in the Kenny Bernstein-owned Quaker State Buick with Ken Schrader running 2nd.
Look here, Earnhardt must have some kind of problem because Sterling Marlin is closed right in on the back bumper of Dale. And look, up the racetrack he goes, and Marlin goes by, Rusty Wallace goes by, Rudd's going to go by.
We understand it could be a tire problem. The right front may be going down.
Well, the car is pushing up as it goes into the turns, and that is an indication that maybe there is not enough air in that right front tire.
There, Jeff Bodine goes by on the inside. That tire is flat, isn't it?
It looks like it is very low, Benny, as he goes into the turns. Not totally flat, but it looks like it is very low. The Richard Childers crew, their jack man is up on the wall down there. They're ready for him in case he does come into the pits, but he's staying out there this time.
These are the radial tires. They're very hard to puncture, but also very hard to tell when the tire is flat.
There you can see the crew members ready to go with a sticker tire to put on the car should Dale decide to come in.
Now he's caught on the outside, can't get back to the pits. Now he's on the inside. I would think he's coming in this time.
Yep, he is coming into the pits, and Jerry Punch is there.
Unbelievable turn of events for our top 2 leaders in the Winston Cup point race. Martin now on 7 cylinders, and here is Dale Earnhardt in with that single pit stop. Apparently the right front tire going down on the car. Kirk Shelburne and the crew here under the green flag. Earnhardt revving the motor down the way. 10.4 seconds. He will go 1 lap down as he heads to turn 1.
Yes, indeed. The leaders pass by, led by Brett Bodine. Dale Earnhardt goes back out onto the racetrack. 4 cars behind the leader, but he is a lap down. There's Bodine and Schrader, who now battle for the lead. Schrader tries to gain that inside line on Brett.
There's Harry Gant right behind watching this action.
Fellas, you remember when green was a superstition in racing? There's 3 green cars running up front.
Yellow flag. We have a spin down in the 4th corner.
Rob Moroso is involved down on the inside of the racetrack, the car number 20. And here are the leaders racing back to the start-finish line. Rob Moroso trying to keep him going a lap down, and he does.
There was trouble before Rob Moroso spun. There were some cars that were bumping and banging and almost spinning, and then Rob Moroso came out of the 4th corner and did do a loop, and so that brought out the caution flag. Here it is again.
Derek Cope maybe getting tapped from behind with he and Kyle Petty might have traded a little sheet metal there, and Derek spun around, and here comes Rob Moroso. He perhaps slowed and then got hit from behind.
Yes, Dick Trickle ran in the back on what it looks like and spun Rob.
So that caution period comes out just a lap too late for Dale Earnhardt. Boy, if he could have waited just, what, 1 or 2 more laps, he would have been able to get in the pits and get that tire changed without losing a lap. But as it was, he did lose the lap. Here comes Mark Martin into the pits. Let's go to Jerry again.
Remember, Martin only owns 7 cylinders. Robin Pemberton and Steve Hill and the crew are going to try to change the wiring harness there, coming out of the distributor down to the spark plugs. They have a harness, looks like an octopus in their hand, and they were going to change it, and apparently they had grabbed a wire, a plug wire, and they're trying to push it back on the side of the engine. They don't want to lose a lap, and now the engine is shut off. They have to shut it off to make sure they get the wire on and then refire it. The crew getting ready to push the car off. Hopefully it will fire for Mark Martin. It does fire. They're putting the hood pins in. Here comes the pace car up in turn 3 and 4, but Martin is away.
And yes, he does get out in plenty of time to stay on the lead lap. Lots of developments here at Martinsville as far as the race is concerned and the battle for the 1990 Winston Cup. Just about to go back to green flag conditions. Let's take a look at why we had this caution period. Now, this is the bumper cam on Kulwicki's car. Look, he gets boom, banged by Morgan Shepherd, and then trouble develops behind Morgan Shepherd.
Probably what happened, somebody put their brakes on behind him. There's Rob Moroso, as we already established, got tapped by Dick Trickle when he slowed down. We're ready to go green flag racing again.
Now, Dale Earnhardt is a lap down, but notice he has the inside line now. He's in 20th position, and Mark Martin is in 20th position. He is on the lead lap, and now so is Dale Earnhardt.
Martin is on in the 19th position on the lead lap, and Dale Earnhardt in 20th. Now he is on the lead lap.
Oh, and they're flagging the 3 car for jumping the start. Another development, of unfortunate set of circumstances for Earnhardt.
What happens is that the guy in the lead lap, the driver in the lead lap, determines when to go. And evidently Earnhardt hit the throttle a little bit before Ken Schrader, a leader, and NASCAR has put the black flag on him. He's got to go in the pits. It's a stop and go penalty, but what that means, he'll have to go in the pit, stop, and the entire field will go by.
Boy, he would like to see a caution right now, but he's going to have to come into the pits, and here he comes.
Stop and go penalty for Dale Earnhardt for jumping the start. He stops and goes right away again, but that puts him a lap down again.
And he's going to be back there in some awful heavy traffic, too.
Mark Martin is not too far ahead of him. Remember, Mark is in 19th.
Well, Earnhardt's not in 20th any longer.
That's right.
Now that there's a number of cars that are 1 lap down that are ahead of him now.
He passes Jimmy Means. Ahead of him now, Rob Moroso and Dave Marcus.
Here's the battle up front as Rusty Wallace tries to move around Harry Gant. They traded a little bit of sheet metal there a moment ago. Rusty has the inside line as they head into turn 1. There's Ricky Rudd, who is running strong here today in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, the car number 5, the yellow and white car. Gant drifts a little bit high and allows Rudd to go down on the inside. That's 3rd position they're battling for.
Rusty Wallace is now 2nd. Now Ricky Rudd moves to 3rd. Harry Gant back to 4th, and Brett Bodine is 5th. There is 1 car between Schrader, the leader, and 2nd place Rusty Wallace. That's Hut Strickland in car number 12. Meanwhile, way back in the pack, trying to work his way through traffic, but there is a lot of traffic up ahead, is Mark Martin. Watch all the cars pass by before we get back to Mark Martin. There he is, mired in a whole bunch of traffic with Ernie Irvin ahead. Let's go to Jerry Punch for an update on Mark Martin.
Well, apparently they were all smiles in the Folgers pit. The problem was indeed a plug wire was off on the number 4 cylinder on the right side. They replaced the plug wire, and a giant smile for Mark Martin here in the pits when they went back out. So he is back on 8 cylinders. He is in the lead lap, so have a chance to try to move in. Meanwhile, problems continue for Dale Earnhardt, still a lap down.
Richard Petty being given the black flag. We see Richard's STP Pontiac right there as we see Earnhardt right in front of him, but Petty now going into the back pits after being given the black flag. Apparently had a fender rubbing or something.
He's been smoking heavily for the past 15, 20 laps, Ned.
The first two in Winston Cup points are running together on the racetrack, Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt, but Earnhardt is a lap down to the field. Mark Martin is on the lead lap, pulling alongside of Darrell Waltrip, and right behind Alan Kulwicki. And a bumper cam shot again from Alan Kulwicki's car, and that is Martin. And look how close he gets.
He's on the inside of Kulwicki down in turn 1, and here comes Earnhardt.
Earnhardt will try to take that same line. And he does. There is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17. Remember, he has 3 straight wins here in this race and has won 4 out of the last 6 events on this racetrack.
And folks, he's hanging in there in the lead lap, so don't count him out. Last year here, he was not a great factor as far as leading much of this race until near the end, and so he's hanging right in there.
Battle for second position, and Ricky Rudd passes Rusty Wallace, and Rudd goes to second. Boy, a great run for Ricky, who started 16th. So Rudd now sets his sights on the leader of the race, Ken Schrader, as we have completed 164 out of the 500 laps that make up the Goody's 500. Let's take a look at the top 15. As we take this break, we'll be right back with more of our coverage of this event. Stay with us. After 183 laps of the 500 laps that make up the Goody's 500, here are the top 5. Schrader, Rudd, Wallace, Brett Bodine, and Jeff Bodine. Our Speed World coverage from Martinsville, Virginia, being brought to you by Busch Beer. Head for the mountains of Busch. By Monroe Shocks and Struts. Monroe, your safety could depend on it. And by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. Our Sports 900 number, 1-900-SPORTS-1, $1.95 for the first minute, $1 for each additional minute for the latest in Winston Cup activity. Then punch in the number of your favorite driver and hear their comments about this race and anything else that's going on Winston Cup. 1-900-SPORTS-1. Ken Schrader in car number 25 is the leader of the race. He is about to put a lap on Ernie Irvin in car number 4. Running second is Ricky Rudd, and third is Rusty Wallace.
And in 4th place is Brett Bodine, and then Jeff Bodine running 5th. Running in 6th is the car number 15 of Morgan Shepherd. Here's a battle. Dale Earnhardt goes around the Sterling Marlin car number 94. Now, number 94, of course, is in the lead lap running in 10th position.
And Dale Earnhardt is trying to get back on the lead lap after an unscheduled tire change and then a black flag for jumping the restart. Here's Schrader still trying to put Irvin a lap down.
Trying to do it the hard way on the outside. Ernie comes back.
But Schrader will pull away down the backstretch. Second place belongs to Ricky Rudd. We'll show you the interval between first place, Schrader, and their second, Ricky Rudd. Not all that far behind.
And we saw the black car just at the top of the picture a moment ago. That's the 3rd place car of Rusty Wallace. We'll see him in just a moment.
17 cars are in the lead lap after Ernie Irvin goes a lap down.
And here is a battle for 3rd position. That's Brett Bodine on the inside of Rusty Wallace.
For 3rd spot, the green car trying to take it from the black car. And the green car got it.
Boy, talk about somebody who's had a very good movement toward the front of the field. Brett Bodine started way back in 27 and is now third.
And his problem was he crashed during practice on Friday just before qualifying. He repaired the car, and as he went out to qualify, he spun on his first qualifying lap, and his second lap just was not that fast at all.
And don't forget, next Sunday afternoon, we'll be at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where Brett Bodine won his first and only Winston Cup race in the spring of this year. There's his short track finishes. And let's go to Jerry Punch with more on Brett Bodine.
Well, Benny, you documented how tough a weekend it has been for the Quaker State crew. They had a problem with a severe wheel hop when they tried to qualify. Also in practice, they had a problem getting the car to go down to turn 1 and 2. It wasn't until late yesterday afternoon that Larry McReynolds and the crew, with a lot of hard work, decided to put some stiffer shocks under the car, which cured the wheel hop problem. They figured if they could get a good chance early on to stay in the lead lap, they'd be able to make their way to the front by close to the halfway point. Well, we're about 60 laps away from halfway, and they're currently running third.
And behind Brett Bodine is Rusty Wallace, but he is being challenged by both Jeff Bodine, at number 11, third in Winston Cup points, and Morgan Shepherd.
Jeff running in the 5th position. Morgan Shepherd running 6th.
Morgan Shepherd, who has had an up and down year in Winston Cup competition, was really strong in the first half of the year. Things haven't gone quite as well in the second half. Now moving back to the number 33 car of Harry Gant, who's being followed by Mark Martin.
Gant running in 7th. Mark Martin now has moved up to 8th, so he is moving up through the field, Bob, after having made those pit stops during the last caution to get that spark plug wire back on. They also came back in and changed 4 tires. Then comes Davey Allison, who is running in the 9th position now.
The number 66 car of Dick Trickle and the 9 of Bill Elliott. Both of those drivers are on the lead lap in 10th and 11th.
And Dale Earnhardt right behind Bill Elliott, as we've mentioned, is a lap down.
Looking out the back glass of the Trump Arctic Pontiac, driven by Dick Trickle. Phillips 66 in-car camera being carried by Trickle. Dale still trying to move around that traffic so that if we should have another caution period, it would put him in a position to get that lap back. There goes Kyle Petty, who is a lap down. Here comes Darrell Waltrip, who is in 12th position.
Well, cruising along in the Tide Chevrolet. Now, the leader of the race is not too far behind him. He's perhaps 3 or 4 seconds ahead of the leader, Ken Schrader, maybe a little bit more than that, so he's not in danger going left down right now, but could happen before long.
Next in the serial is the 94 car of Sterling Marlin, shown in 13th at the moment. He's passing the 75 of Rick Wilson.
Rick a couple of laps down.
Yeah, he's continuing to struggle with that machine.
Well, we understand that Jimmy Spencer is being given a black flag, perhaps something rubbing on his car.
Let's take a look at the top 5 in Winston Cup points and where they are running. Mark Martin is 8th. Dale Earnhardt is 20th. Jeff Bodine is 5th. Bill Elliott is 11th. And Rusty Wallace is in 4th position. Remember, Earnhardt is a lap down, and Dale has also picked up 5 bonus points for leading a lap. Mark Martin has not led a lap so far today. Set to go back to racing in just a moment. It's Ricky Rudd, Ken Schrader, Brett Bodine, Jeff Bodine, and Rusty Wallace. 6 through 10, Morgan Shepherd, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, and Sterling Marlin. When they come down to take the green flag, look who's going to try to get a lap back. It's going to be Dale Earnhardt lined up on the inside, just to the inside of the leader, Ricky Rudd. The crowd rises and cheers as the green comes out on lap 240.
And Ricky Rudd gets the jump on Earnhardt. Of course, Earnhardt very careful that time not to jump out in front of the leader.
And there we see Brett Bodine, followed up by his brother in the red 11. That's Jeff Bodine. Brett Bodine up front, folks. He stopped on the green flag and changed right side. When the caution flag came out, although he was pitting on the back, he stopped, only changed 2 tires, where all the cars pitted on the front changed 4 tires. That's why he was able to get as close to the front as he did.
Look at Earnhardt trying to move on the inside of Ricky Rudd.
Trying desperately to get that lap back.
But as you indicated, Ned, he was very cautious when that green flag came out, not to jump the start as he did earlier in the race and then was penalized for it. He'll try to pass Ricky Rudd, get back on the lead lap under green.
Dale Earnhardt's car just flying through the middle of the corner. Watch him, he just closes up on the back bumper of Rudd.
Ricky able to put a car length or a car length and a half between himself and Dale on the straightaways, but then Earnhardt really closes in. Look at how he tightens it up in the corner.
Well, he's driving his heart out trying to get up there, but Rudd is so smooth. And that Levi Garrett Chevrolet is working well for him here this afternoon. And he knows he needs to keep Earnhardt back there because that's just another contender as this race goes on. If he gets back in the lead lap, that he can be tough.
Here's Brett Bodine, Jeff Bodine, and Rusty Wallace. Brett is 26, Jeff is 11, and Rusty is 27.
Of course, that is 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions.
We might mention that Earnhardt is in 15th. There are 14 cars on the lead lap.
We mentioned those first 10, Bob, but in 11th was Sterling Marlin, 12th Dick Trickle, Harry Gant 13th, and Alan Kulwicki is the last car on the lead lap in 14th position.
Jeff Bodine still mathematically in the Winston Cup points battle in 3rd position, coming in this event 339 behind Mark Martin. But a real uphill battle if he is to take away the championship.
Brett's holding his older brother up just a little bit right now, but this is pretty tough plowing to spin out your little brother. Let's see. No, I don't think he's going to go up and touch him. Do you, Ned?
Look at this. That's how hot these rims get. The water is actually boiling on those
that's
rims.
That's from the brakes, fellas. The brakes get that hot. In fact, when they used to run inner tubes, I don't know, do they still run inner tubes on short track spinning? But when they did, it sometimes would melt the inner tube. They would get so hot.
Jeez. They don't. When they run tubeless tires here, so there's no tube in the tire.
NASCAR allowed them to put a fan on the brakes here for the first time. I think that would probably help them more during a caution period because they do have forced air ducts going to the braking system as they get the halfway mark.
250 laps are completed, 250 to go in the Goody's 500. The leader is Ricky Rudd. 2nd place is Schrader. 3rd is Brett. 4th is Jeff. And 5th is Rusty Wallace.
6th is Morgan Shepherd. Mark Martin is 7th. In 8th place is Bill Elliott. Davey Allison is 9th. Harry Gant 10th. And 11th is Sterling Marlin. In 12th place, Dick Trickle. Darrell Waltrip is 13th. And Alan Kulwicki 14th. Those are the 14 cars on the lead lap.
Had 5 caution periods in the first half of the race. Probably the most serious incident involved Rick Mass up in the 1st and 2nd turns. He walked away okay. There's the leader, Ricky Rudd, in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet.
Tell you something, boys, that 5 car is hooked up today.
It really is. The car working great. And Ricky Rudd is one of the smoothest race drivers in Winston Cup racing, and the racetrack is slick, and so his style, plus the fact that the car is hooked up well, has him out front.
Had a 23rd place finish at Martinsville in the spring. Of course, he was the winner at Watkins Glen earlier this year on the road course. Hasn't won an oval race since 1987.
He has pulled away from Dale Earnhardt. You can see, almost you see Earnhardt's car come into the picture. Here's the battle for the 3rd position.
And once again, there is Brett, Jeff, and Rusty Wallace. Now, here's our Western Auto Race recap. The leader, Ricky Rudd, has led 47 of the 250 laps. 5 caution periods, total of 27 laps. 14 cars are on the lead lap at an average of 76.804. Those that have led and picked up 5 points include Rusty Wallace, Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, Alan Kowicki, and Dale Earnhardt. Also, Brett Bodine and Ricky Rudd. None, however, for the pole sitter, Mark Martin. Out of the race officially, Rick Mast and Michael Waltrip. Our Western Auto Mechanic of the Year standings, Robin Pemberton of Mark Martin's crew on top, followed by Tim Brewer of Jeff Bodine's car, then Mike Beam on the number 9 Elliott machine, Danny Glad on Alan Kowicki's car, and Andy Petrie with Harry Gant. Those are the top 5 in the Mechanic of the Year standings. We're at Martinsville, Virginia Speedway for the Goodies 500, and we'll be back right after this. We're under caution here at Martinsville once again, and we anticipated some pit stops here on lap 267, but those running up front chose not to come in.
But they were giving the signal, Bob, for 1 lap to go. They'll go back to green the next time around, so I guess that's why they didn't come in.
We had a spin over in turn number 2. And during that spin, we could have had the key moment of the race. Now take a look at what happened in front of Rudd and Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt in the black 3 trying to get by the 5 to get back. And look, Sterling Marlin was sitting there dead in the water, and both those cars split him. Earnhardt on the inside, Rudd on the outside, and Earnhardt was able to beat Rudd back to the line. He now is in the lead lap.
So Earnhardt's spotter certainly did his job for him that time. Say, go on the inside, there is room. The green flag is waving again. Of course, Earnhardt slipped in there, and he's back in the lead lap.
Dale Earnhardt is 15th, but on the lead lap. Green flag comes out once again. The leader is Ricky Rudd, but Ken Schrader now mounts a challenge. Behind Schrader is Brett Bodine, then Jeff and Rusty.
Kodak Chevrolet and Ernie Irvin has managed to sneak in there trying to get a lap back. He is a lap down.
Four car is at the tail end of the lead lap, we understand. So officially there are 16 cars that are on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt now has the job of moving through all that traffic between himself and the leader.
He's passed one car in the same lap as he passed Alan Kowicki. Now he's got his eyes on Darrell Waltrip in the Tide Chevrolet.
Waltrip is on the same lap as Earnhardt, so if he passes Darrell, he'll move up another spot to 13. But he has not done that so far.
Darrell goes by Derek Cope, the 10 car. Now Earnhardt has to follow Darrell through on the inside.
Gary Cope is 4 laps down in 25th position.
And up front, Ernie Irvin is about to go a lap down as Ricky Rudd is on the inside of him coming off of turn 4. Of course, that has allowed, with Rudd running behind Ernie Irvin, has allowed the car number 25 of Ken Schrader and the car number 26 of Ricky Rudd to move right up on his back bumper.
So both of the Winston Cup points leaders have had their troubles in this race so far. However, both are back on the lead lap. Now, if the race were to end right now, this is how the points would shake out. Mark Martin would have 36.61, Earnhardt 36.24. And so you can see that the advantage would widen for Mark Martin. Jeff Bodine would have 3,340 points.
And fellas, Darrell Waltrip is being black flagged, the man who has won this race 3 times in a row. There's been some smoke coming from the Tide Chevrolet, so Darrell coming into the pits right now, and this might take him off the lead lap.
And this smoking problem has worsened in the last few laps.
Let's go to John Kernan for a report of smoke is boiling from the car.
Well, Jeff Hammond and crew have gone to work underneath. It looks like like some rubber from the track has gotten up and kicked up onto the headers. They're scraping it away, and now they're taking a caulking gun and sealing something. So apparently there was an oil leak. Jeff Hammond told me it wasn't anything serious just a few minutes ago. In fact, now I can see oil has sprayed up on the underside of the hood. Now they're tightening the valve cover back down. So apparently there was a leak. So Darrell goes a lap down as the lead pack comes screaming down the front straightaway. So a tough break for the 3-time-in-a-row winner here at the Goody 500.
So chances of Darrell Earnhardt getting a victory here this afternoon have been reduced because of Darrell Waltrip, I should say, because of the pit stop here. Bob. Yeah, Benny. Don't tell me. There goes Darrell Waltrip back in the race, but still smoking his team from the rear of the race car.
And he's at least 2 laps down.
Can you imagine those guys telling NASCAR officials a piece of rubber flew up off the racetrack was on the headers? That's what the smoke was. Look at Earnhardt. Terry Labonte going by in that Skoal Oldsmobile trying to pass him. Labonte a lap down, although he did pit on this last caution flag and change tires.
Earnhardt is 13th.
I hope you folks watching don't think that Bob Jenkins and I have something going against us, but you know, we kind of keep track all year of who gets the best of each other.
I think I'm several up on
right now. The score is 921 for me, 365 for Bob.
No. Here's the battle for the lead. Schrader closing in on Ricky Rudd.
There are the first 4 cars. Rudd, Schrader, and the Bodine brothers. Brett in 3rd, Jeff in 4th, Rusty Wallace back in 5th, Morgan Shepherd is 6th, Davey Allison 7th, Mark Martin 8th, Bill Elliott 9th, Harry Gant 10th, Dick Trickle is 11th, and in 12th position is Dale Earnhardt, and 13th is Alan Kowicki. Those are the 13 cars on the lead lap at the moment.
And we're nearing the 300 lap mark, about 17 laps away from lap number 300 and the completion of 60% of this 500 lap race. Let's take a look at the top 10 as they stand at the moment here in the Goodies 500 from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, race number 24 of the 29 race Winston Cup season. Hendrick teammates battling for the lead have crashed. Kenny Schrader and Ricky Rudd crashed hard on the backstretch, with Schrader going hard on the inside retaining wall. Here they came out of the second corner side by side.
And somehow they just got together. Rudd kind of loses control as he comes off the corner and into the pit wall hard.
Well, both of them hit that inside wall very, very hard.
Wouldn't have taken much for Schrader's car to leap that wall and go into the backstretch pit area. Schrader's car came to a rest in the grass down in turn number 3. We'll see it again and back it up a little bit further to show you that these two were battling for the lead as they came down the front stretch.
They battled a couple of laps, Bob, and side by side. Here's Schrader going down on the inside. Rudd gives him room, it looks like, as they come off of the turn now. I think Benny's right. The back end of Rudd's car just goes around as he comes off of the turn, and they touch and just run both of them right, or Schrader's car into the wall and Rudd's right into Schrader.
And we'll show you another replay from a different angle. This is from our camera down in turn number 1.
Once again, same, and you're Brett Bodine. He's just watching the wreck. And they come off the corner. Rudd goes up the hill, and just the car all of a sudden just loses the back end a little bit. And bam, in the inside wall.
Hard impact. You know, by staying together, I think they even lessened the impact, though, of the wall. That would have been a terrible head-on collision for Rudd.
We can see the front end damage on that Levi Garrett Chevrolet. It is severe.
Well, as it looked like on that last replay that maybe Schrader's back end might have come out a little bit into Ricky.
Rudd?
Yeah, touched him as they came off of that turn. That's a very slick turn, and just the slightest contact can send you into a spin. And
well, in any case, Schrader's hopes of winning his first race in 1990 is gone, and Ricky Rudd's chances of a second victory in 1990 are gone, as both cars are being pulled from the racetrack after a very, very hard crash on the backstretch. Let's go to John Curtin, who's with Rudd.
Ricky, a very disappointing end to a great run, what looked to be a great run for you today. What happened?
Well, I tell you, it's just a shame we still had a couple of 100 laps to go, and Kenny, I don't know, he got under me and he broke loose and knocked me in the fence, but I don't know why he's racing that hard. Still had 200 laps to go. I don't really have an answer for it. Took our shot away of winning this race.
You took a pretty hard lick there. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just a shame it wiped out a good race car, wiped out 2 Hendricks cars, and another couple laps or so, Kenny would have got the advantage. I let him go. I just don't know why it's so serious this early, but anyway, that's it, I guess.
A disappointing finish to what looked to be a very promising day for Ricky Rudd.
Obvious disappointment for Ricky Rudd and for Ken Schrader. They're both out of the race. The cleanup continues on the backstretch. It gives us an opportunity to check in with our feature track fact. This track fact is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
Over the years, the Winston Cup teams have used an oil filter mount that resembled what you have on the passenger cars. This little system here, the very small oil filter and oil filter mount. The biggest difference is that your passenger car carries 5 quarts of oil that must go through this one filter. A Winston Cup car has 12 quarts of oil. Therefore, 12 quarts being forced through this filter into this very small opening creates quite a bit of resistance. This year, many of the teams have gone to this type system, which came over from drag racing, actually, a much larger filter with a much larger opening and much more surface area, therefore diminished resistance. If you lower the resistance of oil going through here, you will lower oil temperature, therefore improving engine life. One other advantage of this system here this year is that this oil filter mount actually has its own filtration screen built inside. So it's double protection and double filtering here on the Winston Cup Trail.
Big crowd on hand here at Martinsville, Virginia Speedway. We'll take a look at the top 10 with nearly 300 laps gone in the Goody's 500. Back at the Goody's 500 Winston Cup race in Martinsville, Virginia, it is Jeff Bodine who is leading this race at the moment, with Bill Elliott running second, and third is Mark Martin. The most recent caution involved teammates Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader as they were battling for the lead.
And they touched coming off of turn 2, and both went spinning down to the inside, and Schrader hit the inside retaining wall hard, carrying Rudd with him. And both of them out of the race.
We heard from Ricky Rudd earlier. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Ken Schrader.
A tough ending to an afternoon, Kenny. You had a great run going. What happened up there?
Ricky and I got together, we sure didn't want to get together, especially both having to call the same boss tonight, but I don't know. I thought he got up in the stuff a little bit and got a little loose and bounced off into us, and he thinks that I got him up there. I mean, we just got together. He said he was going to let me go in another lap or so because he was slowing down, and the guys were starting to catch me, so I just ran him like he was another car,
I was standing with Rick Hendrick when you two guys were vying for the lead. Hendrick said, "This is what I really like. My 2 cars vying for the lead," and suddenly it happened, and he got very pale.
Well, I would imagine he was. I imagine we'll both get called up on it tonight, too, but we're both trying to win the race.
Kenny Schrader out of it here at Martinsville.
The most important thing is that Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader are both okay.
Jeff Bodine in the lead. There's the car number 1 of Terry Labonte right in front of him. Labonte has gotten himself back in the lead lap, and out in front of Labonte is the car number 4 of Ernie Irvin. He too has gotten himself back in the lead lap. So now, Bob, there are 13 cars on the lead lap once again.
And you remember at the beginning of the show when that girl in the cut and curl said that Junior Johnson might have something up his sleeve? Well, he might, because Jeff is leading this race and is the most recent winner here at Martinsville. He won here at Martinsville in the spring. There you can see the breakdown among makes on the short tracks in 1990. Ford has 3 short track victories to Chevy's 2, and the Buick win by Brett Bodine.
And Fords are not supposed to run that well on the short tracks, but right now we have Fords 1, 2, 3, first, second, and third. Jeff Bodine, Bill Elliott, and Mark Martin. And there they all are, followed by Rusty Wallace. Jeff, the red 11.
We'll lock down our camera here. Get ready to look for your favorite driver. You can see where he is in relation to the leader. There's Irvin and Labonte, who are both on the lead lap. And here comes the rest of the field down through the frame. That's Brett Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, Hillen, Trickle, Waltrip, Marcus, Strickland,
Jimmy Means, Alka-Seltzer Pontiac.
And evidently they fixed that smoking problem on Darrell Waltrip because his car does not have nearly the smoke it did a moment ago.
21.3 second lap. Let me figure that out, Benny. I'll get my calculator out here. Let's see. That's I can do that in my head. That's 80.90 miles an hour. 88.90 miles an hour.
Bob, nobody in the world believes you can do that in your head. So
time another lap.
There's Jeff Bodine on the inside of Labonte going down in turn. Some contact, and Labonte is going to spin right in front of the leader.
And Bodine is going to spin as well. And the car number 1 gets going again. And Ernie Irvin, break for him because he's got himself back in the lead lap, so he's out in front of the pack.
Yes, indeed. Ernie Irvin gets the lap back, but Jeff Bodine suffers because of a incident, contact between himself and Terry Labonte as they headed down into 1.
Jeff Bodine on the inside of Labonte. They go down and they make some contact right there getting in the corner. And Bodine tries to get the car away from Labonte. Gets a little bit sideways. When he corrects it, he goes up and runs into the left rear of Labonte's car.
I'm not sure, guys, that I would want to lead this race because it seems like every time somebody gets out in the lead, an incident occurs. It happened to Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader, and now it's happened to Jeff Bodine in the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford.
The one thing the problem that Bodine had when he went across the curb over there, he might have bent some parts on the chassis.
And the left side of that Budweiser Ford, and the right side, is really banged in. I should say the right side. He is in the pits now. So are several other drivers.
This is our 8th caution of the day. There's the damage on the right side of the Budweiser Ford, driven by Jeff Bodine as he gets new tires on the right side, and they make sure that no sheet metal is rubbing against the tires. There's Junior Johnson. Well, again, a reminder about our 1-900-SPORTS-1 number that you can dial any day of the week. 1-900-SPORTS-1, $1.95 for the first minute and $1 for each additional minute. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Martinsville Speedway in Virginia, where the lead of the Goody's 500 is being led by Bill Elliott. Second place, Rusty Wallace. Third is Mark Martin. And then fourth is Davey Allison. Next week, next Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, live here on ESPN, will be the Holly Farms 400 from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. We hope you'll join us next Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern.
Ooh, Earnhardt goes up, has some contact with Harry Gant. Harry was able to get control, but there's Brett Bodine trying to take the spot away as well.
Dale Earnhardt is in 5th position. He just took over 5th from Harry Gant. And here's a replay of what happened.
Just a little bit of contact in the rear. Gant goes up the hill to get control of the car. Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, and Brett Bodine all try to go by.
Although Brett didn't quite get by. Now here's Sterling Marlin moving by. Now Marlin is 1 lap down.
The leader is Bill Elliott, looking for 2 victories in a row. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, when Elliott won at Dover last week, while he was still in victory lane, his thoughts turned to this place. Martinsville, and what a headache this track has been to him. In all these years of racing here, he has never finished on the lead lap. When he arrived here early in the week, he went and toured a couple factories locally promoting the race. One was the Goody's Headache Factory, and the employees there had a gift for him, a good luck charm. He took a pack of goodies and all autographed it here. And Elliott had this pack of Goody's Headache powder taped to his dash. Good luck charm today. Maybe he's finished on the lead lap, and indeed, he's running awfully well right now.
He sure as the world is. So a little gift there for Bill Elliott as he leads this event. Now look back here. Elliott leads the race, but look, Harry Gant in 33, Brett Bodine in 26, Morgan Shepherd in 15, Jeff Bodine in number 11, all of those cars on the same line. This is the side cam on Dick Trickle's car.
And he's on the lead lap as well, Bob. He is right behind Jeff Bodine, as you can see. Morgan Shepherd up on the outside in the motor track Ford.
If he's able to pull this pass off, it's going to be quite a pass because the racetrack is extremely slippery.
This is 6th position on back.
And Rusty Wallace has blown. Rusty Wallace slowed on the back straightaway in the New Virginian Draft Pontiac.
See him slowing down almost at a stop on the backstretch. So the second place car of Rusty Wallace develops a problem and is dead in the water.
Is he going to get back to the pits? He's rolling very, very slowly. He might be able to coast into the pits. That left Bill Elliott way out front of everybody else. There's Elliott coming around now, putting a lap on Rusty Wallace, but I don't think it matters because it doesn't look like Rusty is going to be able to finish. Let's go to the pits and John Kernan.
Just talked to Jimmy Makar and Harold Elliott. They're having a little bit of a radio problem. They're not sure exactly what happens, but Harold says he thinks he may have broken a valve, and now the crew running up pit road to give an assist to push the car down here to the pits, and they will go under the hood and check and see, in fact, if their day is over.
Well, Rusty had finished, rather was running 5th in the point standings. They're trying to get the hood up while they're pushing the car to the pit area. They finally get it in their stall and go to work on it. Rusty had fallen to 5th in the point standings after last week's win by Bill Elliott, coming in here 421 points behind the leader Mark Martin, but that pretty much says it for Rusty Wallace. So while the work continues in Rusty's pit, the action continues on the racetrack.
I'm sure the first thing they're going to do is take that distributor cap off and see if the rotor button might have broken on it.
That's the way they're acting, like the car just suddenly quit, like the rotor.
He's going again, fellas. They've got him fired and he's gone. So something happened in the ignition. He's 4 laps down.
So there's the leader, Bill Elliott. He has a little bit of racetrack between himself and second place Mark Martin. The 94 car, Sterling Marlin, is a lap down.
Well, one reason that he has such a lead on Mark Martin is when Rusty Wallace broke, Mark Martin had to stop to almost keep from running into Rusty Wallace and lost a lot of time.
There you can see that Mark dropped to 19th position at the end of 100 laps, but then has been steadily moving back toward the front. He was 11th at the end of 175, 7th at the end of 260 laps, and now finds himself in the runner-up spot. Now, Dale Earnhardt, there he is, and we'll check his progress. Now, remember, he fell as low as 22nd at the end of 175 laps and was a lap down. But around lap 260, he got the lap back and has been marching to the front ever since. He's 4th now at the end of 360 laps. Let's go to the Rusty Wallace pit.
Bob, I'm here with Rusty's crew chief, Jimmy Makar. Jimmy, it looks like he got the problem fixed. Was it in the distributor?
Yeah, what happened was it broke a coil wire and had to change the coil wire over.
Something just as simple as that, and you lose a couple of laps.
Yeah.
Well, as you can tell, Jimmy's very disappointed. They had a really good run going. Rusty looking to win the race. He was running in second, but the broken coil wire.
And it puts him 4 laps down on the field. And there is Rusty. Appears to be running fine now, but his chances of winning this race are over.
Earnhardt trying to get by Davey Allison. Here comes Jeff Bodine. Remember, he spun just a few laps ago. Now he's trying to get back to the front. He's on the inside of Morgan Shepherd. He's been able to get by Dick Trickle.
Now he moves around the Morgan Shepherd car. That will put him in the 5th, 6th position. And now Earnhardt trying to move on the inside of Davey Allison.
Oh, good
trying
battle.
to take over 3rd.
Good battle for 3rd, and Earnhardt gets it. Earnhardt is 3rd, then Allison, then Jeff, then Morgan, and then Trickle.
There are 5 cars from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th just running in a, you could throw a blanket over them almost.
There we're seeing the 28 car from the side cam on Dick Trickle's car. Trickle tries to follow Jeff Bodine in. He's got position on Davey. as they come off the second corner.
Bobby Hillen going slowly down the main straightaway, but no caution flag as the action on the racetrack continues.
Bobby running in the 12th position. He was only one lap down in the Snickers Buick that he was heading into the pits.
Now that battle back there for third, fourth, and fifth begins to settle down just a little bit as Bill Elliott has a 3 3/4 second lead on Mark Martin at the Goody's 500 Winston Cup race from Martinsville.
Prost, the world driving champion. Senna, his arch rival. Berger, last year's Portugal champion. They'll all attack the track at the Grand Prix of Portugal Monday on ESPN.
Back at Martinsville, Virginia, the Goody's 500. The battle is between the point leaders for third spot here in our race. That's Earnhardt on the inside and Mark Martin on the outside. And Dick Trickle is also in there battling for position. Ooh, a little contact there between Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
There was some contact. Trickle on the inside now. Morgan Shepherd going by Dick Trickle because of the slower car that Trickle ran into. The 10 car of Jerry Cope was up in front of the 66 car driven by Dick Trickle. He couldn't get by, so Morgan Shepherd gets by.
The leader is Bill Elliott. Second is Jeff Bodine.
And Darrell Waltrip has fun over off turn 2. He spins down to the inside of the track. He is stalled there. Let's see, no caution yet. But the Tide Chevrolet, now there is caution out.
Darrell couldn't get the car rolling, and it was just coming out of the second corner, so the yellow does come out. Our 9th caution flag of the day, and there is Darrell Waltrip as he gets the car headed in the right direction, and will be probably entering pit road before too long. Darrell Waltrip, the winner the last 3 Goody's 500s, has been plagued with numerous problems today. There's the leader, Bill Elliott.
And he'll be coming down pit road, Bob, for what should be his last pit stop. He won't need to stop again as far as gas and everything is concerned. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Indeed, Ned, this will be the final stop of the day for everyone. Just a little over 110 laps to go. Elliott's crew would expect to change all 4 tires. They are working down the left side of the Coors Ford. Let's check in the Mark Martin pit. John.
The Roush Racing crew is going to work on the right side. It will be a 4-tire change. You see Dale Earnhardt on the top of the screen. Who will win the race out of the pits? The Folgers crew having a good stop going, and Dale Earnhardt is out. Bill Elliott also out, and now Mark Martin is down and away.
So they come out in Elliott, Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, and Mark Martin. They come out in that order. We get set for another restart here at Martinsville. The green flag out once again. We're back to racing with just a little less than 110 laps to go. Bill Elliott is your leader. Dale Earnhardt now runs in second, followed by Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, and Brett Bodine. Mark Martin right behind the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine.
There's Sterling Marlin. He's a lap down in the Sunoco Oldsmobile car number 94. He is between Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. He would like to get up there and pass Elliott and get back in the lead lap, but so far hasn't been very successful at that.
And all the rest of those guys just simply want to pass somebody.
Let's take a look at some Big A Auto Parts pit stop performances. First, Dale Earnhardt, 11.6 for the driver and 19.9 for the crew. The total is 31.5 seconds. And now let's check it for the number 6 car of Mark Martin. 10.5 for the driver and 22.7 for the crew, so Mark was a little slower there on that stop.
One reason they made a chassis adjustment on that Folgers Ford, they put a little bit of wedge or bite in the car, which means the car slipped a little bit in the rear, car a little loose. They're trying to adjust that.
Mark Martin is 4th.
11 cars now still being shown in the lead lap, which is remarkable for Martinsville, although there have been 9 caution flags. Elliott leads, Earnhardt second, Jeff Bodine third, 4th is Mark Martin, 5th is Brett Bodine, 6th Morgan Shepherd, 7th is Harry Gant, Dick Trickle is 8th, Alan Kulwicki is 9th, 10th is Davey Allison, and 11th is car number 4 of Ernie Irvin. Those are the 11 cars in the lead lap.
And out of race, Rick Mast with a crash in turn 1. Also Michael Waltrip, Ken Schrader had a very bad crash with his teammate Ricky Rudd, taking both of them out. Richard Petty has gone behind the wall, and so has Bobby Hillin.
There are 3 cars that are 1 lap down. That is Sterling Marlin, who is running right behind Bill Elliott. He is 12th, and 13th is Rob Moroso, 1 lap down. Terry Labonte is 14th, 1 lap down. 2 laps down is Dale Jarrett in 15th, and 2 laps down in 16th is Dave Marcus. Hutch Strickland is 17th. He is 4 laps down.
Sterling Marlin, the Sunoco Oldsmobile, closing up on Bill Elliott. Definitely one to get by, and the caution flag should come out, get one of those laps back.
Still no official announcement that Sterling Marlin will be going to the Junior Johnson team next year in the 2nd car. The announcement has been delayed. We're told that it is still in good standing. It just hasn't been officially announced yet. And of course, the 94 car, the Billy Hagan car, will be driven next year. And here's a position change. 15 is Morgan Shepherd, the 26 is Brett Bodine, and the 33 is Harry Gant.
Boy, Harry tried his best to get the nose of that Oldsmobile under the Buick, but could not quite do it.
Here's Sterling Marlin now about to get his lap back from Bill Elliott. Elliott slipped coming off of turn 4, allowed Marlin to get up on the inside, but Elliott beats him back to turn 1. Elliott's car seemed to be a little bit loose, and it might be, we'll take a look at it as it came off of turn 4. You see Marlin is car length back, then he closes it down to a couple of feet. And that's the reason Elliott got a little loose. He got a little tap.
A little tap in the rear on the number 9 Ford.
That'll do it every time.
Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine, 2nd and 3rd. Here's Davey Allison trying to get inside of the 7th car of Alan Kulwicki. He's right behind Dick Trickle, and this is also a battle for position 8th, 9th, and 10th right here.
And Morgan Shepherd is high down in turns 1 and 2.
Very high up against the wall, the Motorcraft Ford, and it looks like it's going to come to a stall, Benny.
And Bill Elliott is spun. The leader has spun in turn 4. Well, how many times have we seen that this afternoon? The leader having a problem and spinning or crashing.
He might have had a little help as they knew the caution was coming out. Sterling Marlin was all over Bill Elliott. Let's see what happens as Elliott goes into turn 3. Now Morgan Shepherd has stalled up against the 2nd turn wall, and yes, he does. Yep. He gets a little tap from Sterling Marlin, sends Elliott around, and Dale Earnhardt takes over the lead.
Morgan Shepherd, meanwhile, broke a timing chain. That's the reason why his car stalled up on the racetrack in turn number 2.
And I think that NASCAR, I believe we got a report that Sterling Marlin is going to be reprimanded by NASCAR. Is that correct?
Well, we hear that there might be a penalty box situation for him. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Meanwhile, Bill Elliott can't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, and he's going to worry about what's going to happen to himself in this Coors Melling Ford as they will change all 4 tires. A disappointment for Elliott with a great run going. Remember, he wanted to finish the lead lap and had a great shot at winning it. He can still win it here. He's got a lot of people to pass here still on the lead lap.
Well, as he goes out of the pits, they are holding Sterling Marlin. There is a NASCAR official standing in front of Sterling Marlin's car. And look how low Jeff Bodine came. He almost went into the pit wall there as he was, I guess, just sort of faking out those guys behind him as to whether he was coming into the pits or not. And there he is, the Winston Cup official holding Sterling Marlin. So it's going to be a pretty severe penalty for Marlin for that bump on Bill Elliott.
2nd time we've seen the penalty box imposed here this afternoon. Jimmy Spencer suffered it earlier. Back after this message. We're 78 laps from the finish of this race, and Dale Earnhardt is the leader with Jeff Bodine in car number 11 running in 2nd position. Now we've just come off another caution period, and this is the reason why we were under yellow for several laps. It involved the 94 of Sterling Marlin and the 9 of Bill Elliott,
who was leading at the time. The caution flag gets waved. They go in the corner, and Sterling Marlin
and Dick Trickle has spun right now on the backstretch, fellas, as we see Bill Elliott spinning on the screen there. Trickle down on the inside. of the racetrack in the Trop Arctic Pontiac, and caution is out once again.
Too bad, because Dick was running in 6th spot and had been on the lead lap all day.
And Dick tried to get going again, but the car will not turn. Ooh, and he almost backed into Dave Marcus.
And let's take a look at it, see if he got any help in this spin.
Coming off the second corner, and Davey Allison runs up and touches him in the back, and around he goes. In the inside guardrails, pretty hard contact.
Sure is. He damaged the front of that car significantly. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in Earnhardt's pit.
Quick decisions being made by the Goodrich crew as Richard Childress and them trying to decide whether to pit or not. Now, Earnhardt has made a decision, therefore they will come in and change all 4 tires. They can make it the rest of the way on fuel. In fact, they're not even adding any fuel at all to the car. Likewise, Jeff Bodine, the Budweiser Ford end being pitted for the pit road. And let's check in the Mark Martin pit where John Kernan is standing by. John?
Right side tires already down, and well, lefts are on, and Mark Martin is down and away, and he beats Jeff Bodine on the race out of 6.
Let's just going to shuffle the standings here.
Sure will. Brett Bodine has taken the lead. Alan Kowicki will be second. They were pitting on the backstretch, so they chose not to come into the pits. Don't blame them.
Bill Elliott will be third on the restart. Now, we mentioned that there was that incident between Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott. Now, they held Sterling Marlin in the pits. Here's his car owner, Billy Hagan, expressing his displeasure with the penalty box that Sterling Marlin was put in.
Hagan's the guy there with the radio walking out in the middle of pit road with the white hat on. Steve Lloyd is the crew chief talking to the NASCAR officials.
Not happy at all with that penalty box imposed on Sterling Marlin. Brett Bodine did not pit. He is the leader as we go back to green in a few laps here at Martinsville. In the Goody's 500 at Martinsville, the leader is Brett Bodine in the number 26 Quaker State Buick. Alan Kowicki is second, then Mark Martin, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, and Elliott spins again in turn number 2. We're watching the bumper cam of Alan Kowicki. There is Elliott, who spun in turn 2. Still no caution, and I don't think there's going to be one. Elliott gets rolling again. There is no caution.
Well, that's going to be a costly spin for him because it dropped him back at the back of all of those on the lead lap, and there are 9 cars on the lead lap, so that means Bill Elliott has dropped to 9th place. He was running second not too long ago.
He and Harry again had some contact going down in turn 1, and around went Bill.
Once again, second, he was running third, Bob, before Mark Martin got around him.
Oh, the bumper cam shows us that Alan Kowicki got high in turn number 4 and is being passed by Mark Martin, Jeff Bodine, and Dale Earnhardt.
Now, on this last caution flag, Brett Bodine, Alan Kowicki, and Bill Elliott did not make pit stops. The others have on 4 fresh tires.
Told you that Bill Elliott spun over in turn number 2. May have gotten some help from Harry Gant. Let's look at it.
There we see Harry on the inside. Bill comes down, gets hit in the left rear, and around he goes.
This makes a 360. Everybody gets around, and Bill gets going again, but he's about 2/3 of a lap behind.
Let's go to John Kernan for a report on the guy that's leading the race right now, Brett Bodine.
Well, Bob, the reason Brett didn't pit last time, number 1, they are on the back pitch. Number 2, Larry McReynolds, his crew chief, says the car runs better when, get this, the tires are about 35 to 40 laps old. So they're set for the remainder of the race, and they are hoping that Brett can hang on.
Well, he's got his hands full right now because Martin is mounting a serious challenge. I think he's going to take the lead here on the outside. Mark Martin, the Winston Cup points leader, and Brett Bodine are side by side off of 4. Let's see who leads the lap. Martin hasn't led a lap today, I don't believe, and he didn't that one, I don't believe.
He's got the momentum coming off this corner. He may be able to clear bent down the back straightaway, and he does.
Yes. Now, here comes Mark Martin off the 4th corner, and if he leads his lap, and it looks like he's going to, he will pick up the 5 bonus points, and he got it. Now, the battle is for second position between Jeff Bodine and Brett. Jeff gets it. Brett goes back to 4th as Dale Earnhardt tries to move around Brett and does. So Brett Bodine drops from 1st to 4th.
And I'll tell you, those new tires, fellas, make the difference. Now, it might be that the car run good after 35 laps. But then they seem to slow down again, and those fresh tires on those 3 cars that are out front right now have made a difference.
This has been one of the most interesting races we've had all year. On 4 different occasions, the leader has either crashed or been involved in a spin. Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader crashed together. Jeff Bodine was taken out of the lead in a spin, and so was Bill Elliott. And now the lead is in the hands of Mark Martin.
And Jeff Bodine, that's Mark Martin in the brown 6 and Jeff Bodine the red 11. The black 3, Dale Earnhardt. These 3 cars lead lap, first, second, and third.
And the race is not over yet. We've got 52 more laps to go. 448 are complete. But everybody can go the distance now on their fuel and tires.
No problem. You have 9 cars in the lead lap. Of course, it's Mark Martin lead, Jeff Bodine second, Dale Earnhardt third, Brett Bodine fourth, Alan Kowicki fifth. In 6th place is Davey Allison. 7th is Harry Gant. In 8th is Ernie Irvin. And in 9th position is Bill Elliott. Those are the 9 on the lead lap. In 10th position, 1 lap down, is Terry Labonte. The 11th is Dale Jarrett. He's 2 laps down. Dave Marcus is 12th. He is 3 laps down. 13th is Sterling Marlin. He is 5 laps down as a result of the penalty. Here's Dick Trickle, who, of course, we saw spin to the inside a little while ago. The hood coming up. Dick has been in and out of the pits in the Cale Yarborough Crawford Pontiac, and now having to come back to the pits again, as there's just not much of a place to fasten that hood down.
Doesn't look like it would be very easy to see out of that thing when the hood flies up in front of you. 50 laps to go. Mark Martin now leading the race. And we asked Martin, do you run the remaining races to win or just beat Dale Earnhardt?
There's nothing that has changed within our program all year long. You know, we go out every Sunday and we try to do the very best we can, and we try to take that thing to victory lane, and if we can't, it's standard procedure to bring home as high a finish as you possibly can. That's standard. Everybody does that, whether they're racing for points or not. And so, you know, the being tangled up in a points battle hasn't really changed anything.
He's been tangled up in the battle right now with Jeff Bodine.
He sure is. Jeff Bodine, who was the leader, the winner of the race here at North Wilkesboro earlier this year, runs in 2nd position as a couple of Fords battle it out for the lead.
Jeff Bodine just a lap ago right on the back bumper. We saw Martin, he wiggle a little bit coming off turn 4. That's all Jeff Bodine is waiting for, is one little slip on Mark Martin's part. He'll be inside of him quicker than you can say don't do it.
They come around Jimmy Means in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac. Jimmy having a good run here today. He's being shown in 15th position. So that's one of the better runs for Jimmy this year. Good to see him up there in the top 15.
Jeff Bodine, 11 career wins here. What is the key to running good at this track here at Martinsville?
Well, I've been real fortunate to have good equipment, and you can't run here without good equipment. A good engine, good brakes, good chassis. I think the key, though, to running well here is the chassis. If it's handling good, you save the brakes and you save your engine. And it makes both of those things look exceptionally good. So handling is a key, and I guess through the years I've just been really lucky to find the right setup for this racetrack, and I guess maybe I have the right driving style for this kind of racetrack, and we just run good here. I'm glad.
Jeff Bodine does have 2 career wins here at Martinsville in 1984 and in 1990, both in the spring race.
And he is probably the only driver that has won in Winston Cup competition, Busch Grand National competition, and modified competition on this racetrack.
He runs 2nd at the moment to Mark Martin. Dale Earnhardt is 3rd, Brett Bodine is 4th, and Alan Kowicki is 5th in the Goody's 500. We'll be right back. Back at Martinsville, a very close call for Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin as Dick Trickle spun in turn number 4 just in front of him. It does not bring out a caution period, but it was a close call for both Dale and Mark, and Dale was putting the pass on Mark Martin to go into 2nd position.
In fact, Martin has went from the lead back to 3rd. Jeff Bodine got around him a few laps ago, and now Earnhardt has gotten around him. So it's Jeff Bodine leading, Earnhardt second, Mark Martin third. Still in fourth is Ricky Rudd. And, I beg your pardon, not Ricky Rudd, it's Brett Bodine. And in fifth place is Alan Kowicki, sixth is Harry Gant, seventh is Davey Allison, eighth is Ernie Irvin, and ninth, Bill Elliott. There's 9 cars on the lead lap.
Here's a replay of the incident up there in turn number 4. Watch Earnhardt go to the inside and try to get the spot from Mark Martin, and then trouble ahead of him.
Dick Trickler spun out, is sitting right on the inside of the racetrack. Fortunately for Earnhardt, Martin backs up and lets Earnhardt have the position. He goes by Trickle on the outside.
Man, oh man. So Jeff Bodine continues to lead this race, and now Dale Earnhardt is running in second with Mark Martin in third. And, you know, there is 5 bonus points available to the guy who leads the most laps. And the person who has led the most laps so far, Ricky Rudd. He, of course, crashed out with his teammate Ken Schrader quite a while ago. There have been 15 lead changes among 10 drivers in this Goody's 500 so far. Now the leader in some slower traffic, that's Darrell Waltrip in number 17 and Chad Little in number 19.
But Budweiser Ford handling good down on the inside as he moves around the traffic. Here's the battle about to happen. This is Alan Kowicki running in 5th place in the car number 7, the Z-Rex Ford, and Harry Gant now has caught him. And look, Kowicki's car is a little loose. Now remember, he didn't stop during the last caution and take on any tires, and I think that's beginning to tell the tale on him.
And congratulations to Andy Petrie, who is the Western Auto mechanic of the race. He, of course, a member of that Harry Gant crew. So our congratulations to him as he is watching his driver hold on to 6th position.
And trying to move up to 5th position as we look out the back of Alan Kowicki's car.
That's the bumper cam being carried by Alan, who has had an interesting race himself, but has managed to stay on the lead lap. Currently in 5th place. Watch Gant move to the inside, but the 57 car, Jimmy Spencer, is right there.
And while Gant tries to move up on Alan Kowicki, who is running 5th, not too far in front of them, Brett Bodine is moving up on Mark Martin. See Mark running in 3rd place, Brett Bodine in the green Quaker State Buick running 4th, and he is definitely gaining on Mark Martin.
25 laps to go. 475 are complete.
You know, Martin was just sitting out there leading the race, fellas, and the car looked good as Harry Gant now moves up on the car number 7, but then all of a sudden the handle seemed to go away on the Folgers Ford of Mark Martin, and he's back to 3rd and trying to protect that from Brett Bodine as we watch this battle here.
That bumper cam sure does give us some great shots and indication of just how close they are. Look at this. And there you can see that we tied the record for most leaders. 10 in this event. So as we watch from the bumper cam of Alan Kowicki and Harry Gant, we will take this break and be back with more of the Goody's 500.
The Quaker State King Racing Buick, winner of the 1989 Die Hard Award for the most top NASCAR mile, is winning again in 1990 as Brett Bodine takes 1st in the first Union 400. It takes a tough oil to keep a car running this tough, and it takes a tough driver to step right in, step on it, and win. But number 26 is one tough car. Brett Bodine is one tough driver, and Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
The closing laps of the Goody's 500 Winston Cup race from Martinsville. It's Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Brett Bodine, and Harry Gant, the top 5. Our Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Zerex Antifreeze Coolant. The temperature never drops below Zerex. By Parts Plus, for brand names you can rely on. Go to Parts Plus, America's family of auto parts stores. And by Quaker State, the Big Q is one tough motor oil. 486 laps completed, and the lead belongs to the number 11 Budweiser Ford of Jeff Bodine. He is trying to sweep both races here at Martinsville this year. He won the spring race. Of course, Darrell Waltrip did that last year, and the driver before that to do it was Cale Yarborough in 1977. There's the second place machine of Dale Earnhardt. Then comes Mark Martin, Brett Bodine, and Harry Gant. There is Brett in the 26 car, right behind Mark Martin. And then comes Harry Gant, number 33. He was able to get around the number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki that we saw the battle from his bumper cam for so many laps, but Harry was able to pass him, and there is Alan Kulwicki.
Bob, there are only 8 cars on the lead lap now, as Ernie Irvin has lost a couple of cylinders at least on his Kodak Chevrolet, and he has dropped out of the lead lap. He should still be running in the 10th position, but he is 1 lap down and running very slow on the racetrack.
This is the best race on the racetrack now between Mark Martin and Brett Bodine, and this is for 3rd spot.
Mark Martin will certainly try to hang on to that spot, because every position he loses is just that many more Winston Cup points that he loses. And with Dale Earnhardt running ahead of him, he has got to maintain his position. There are 10 laps to go in this one. Remember, both Earnhardt and Martin have led. Neither of them will get the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And it could be that Dale will finish 1 position ahead of Mark. We'll know that in 9 more circuits.
Martin really hanging to that inside groove, trying to protect that position. And that's exactly what he has to do. But now Brett's going to try him up on the outside.
There's all kinds of room up there, but not very much traction.
Room in the turns, Benny, but when you get on the straightaway, of course, they drift out next to the wall, and Mark's going to protect that position as much as he possibly can.
We watch from Dick Trickle, Phillips 66 in-car cameras. Trickle has crashed, but is still out there. He had hard contact with the inside wall in the backstretch a few laps ago. Once again, there is the leader, Jeff Bodine, as he heads for turn number 3. And second position, watch for the black number 3. There it is at Dale Earnhardt. There are 6 laps to go. Earnhardt went a lap down early in the race. And there is Mark Martin and Brett Bodine, 3rd and 4th.
Dale Earnhardt is not going to catch Jeff Bodine unless something were to happen.
And 5th and 6th, Harry Gant in 33 and Alan Kulwicki in car number 7. 5 laps to go. Behind Kulwicki is the 28 car of Davey Allison. It's running in 7th spot. He was issued a warning a few laps ago because of an incident he had earlier in the race.
With that card, 66, Dick Trickle.
The 27, of course, is Rusty Wallace. He's 7 laps down, being shown in 15th. And here comes Jeff Bodine out of the corner. Bill Elliott is running just ahead of Jeff. Elliott is 8th.
And Bill Elliott would love to stay in that position, because he has never finished in the lead lap at Martinsville, I think is what he said last week.
Yep, and of course neither has Mark Martin, but he apparently is going to in 3rd. Here comes Bodine off the corner, completing lap number 498. There are 2 more circuits to go when the Goody 500 will be over. There is Junior Johnson, the owner of the Budweiser Ford. The white flag will come out this time around for Jeff Bodine. There it is. One more circuit of this 0.526-mile track. Jeff Bodine, third in points. There is the battle for third position on the racetrack. As Mark Martin is holding off Brett Bodine at the moment. This will be the third win of 1994, Jeff Bodine. Here he comes off of corner number 4. The white flag is awaiting him, and he takes the checkered flag for the third win of the year for Jeff Bodine and his second here at Martinsville. There's the battle for third. That's won by Mark Martin. Brett Bodine finishes fourth. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Junior Johnson.
Junior's second win here for Jeff at this track. It's also got to be a big momentum builder going to your home track in North Wilkesboro next week. Maybe even get you back into the points race.
Well, I think so. We had a little problem with the engine last week, and it kind of set us back a little bit, but it's a long ways to go yet. Jeff and Mark's fighting it out, and you never can tell what happened between them two, so we still got hopes that we're going to be in this thing before it's over with.
I tell you what, the man doesn't look real happy right now, but let me tell you, he was excited when Jeff took the checkered flag.
Jeff Bodine came into this event 339 points in third position in the point standings. He comes out the winner of the Goodies 500 here at Martinsville. We'll be back to talk with him in a moment. The Goodies 500 here at Martinsville, Virginia is over. A great win by Jeff Bodine. Here's our road handler winner's circle interview and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, they're celebrating here, Bob, in Victory Lane as Flossie Johnson moves up here and gives Jeff Bodine a big hug along with Candy and the family. And let me slide in here. Jeff, congratulations on a great run.
Thank you. Here's a real boss right here, Flossie Johnson. Boy, we're glad to be driving for Junior and Floss. This has been a great year. We've had our ups and downs. This is one of those ups, right? We wanted this one real bad. We wanted to prove to everybody this team was still strong. We've struggled a few races. Last week we maybe should have won that one, but we blew an engine. But this proves that this is a good team, solid team. We came back and won. The Budweiser Thunderbird was perfect today, unbelievable. We made a little mistake when we spun out trying to get by Labonte, but other than that, the car's great.
After last week, this has to be a big momentum boost going back to Ingle Hollow next week.
Well, that's right. We didn't run good there in the spring. We're going to run good next week. That's Flossie's home. We got to run good for her. I want to say hi to Matthew. He's home. He didn't come with us. We got the rest of the family here, but we love him, and we'll be home tonight.
Jeff Bodine picking up his win here in the Goodies 500 in Martinsville, Virginia. It's his 12th career win, 3 in the Winston Cup, 2 Busch, and 7 modified. Bob?
And our congratulations to Jeff Bodine. Let's take a look at the entire field rundown. Dale Earnhardt, there you see, finished ahead of Mark Martin, keeping that points battle going.
And he came from a lap down to do that, Bob, so a very good run for Dale Earnhardt. And of course, Mark Martin had problems as well and come back to finish third.
But Dale Earnhardt did gain 5 points on Mark Martin.
We'll check that points battle in just a moment after we show you the rest of the rundown. Bill Elliott, of course, led much of this race, however, was involved in a spin, taking him out and him finishing now in 8th position.
Ernie Urban dropped to 11th after running 8th as late as 15 laps to go when the engine went sour on his car. And Rusty Wallace, of course, had major problems, lost a lot of laps, but still came back to finish 15th.
Darrell Waltrip going for his 4th Goodies 500 in a row today, finished 19th.
And we continue to show you the rundown. Finishing 21st was Rob Moroso. Dick Trickle also involved in a crash during the race. He came back to finish in 22nd position. Morgan Shepherd was right up there for much of the race, however, fell to 25th.
Broke a timing chain near the end.
Ricky Rudd, of course, and Ken Schrader involved in a very bad crash on the backstretch. Both of them were uninjured, but they were battling for the lead when that incident occurred. Rick Mast, as you see, finished 31st. He also crashed up in turn number 1. Now the points. Mark Martin, 36.89. He has a 16-point advantage on Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Bodine picks up some points. He's now 329 behind. Bill Elliott remains in 4th, and Rusty Wallace stays in 5th position. We go to Junior Johnson's home track for Jeff Bodine. That will be North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Next Sunday, we'll be live at 1 o'clock for the Holly Farms 400 Winston Cup race as the closest battle in Winston Cup history with 5 races to go continues. Our congratulations to Jeff Bodine. For Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Curtin, and Dr. Jerry Punch, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.